Kevin and Jade back with you. It will be the 131st edition of The Game. It is no wonder that game day will be live from Cambridge, Mass, with the Ivy League title on the line between Harvard and Yale tomorrow.
All right, Jade, in last hour, we had former Yale star and Cowboys great Calvin Hill on the program. Now we're going to show you the Harvard side. Last week on Veterans Day, SportsCenter was at Brooke Army Medical Center just outside San Antonio, profiling many of the wounded veterans who made the commitment and the sacrifice for our freedom. One of the most important men in the recovery process is Colonel Don Gajewski, M.D. The former Harvard tight end has conducted over 1,000 amputation surgeries, giving many servicemen and women hope for a new pain-free life.
How many laps today? Two laps today?
I think there's no doubt I have the best job in the military, let alone the world. And I always tell people, if you had my job for a week or a month, you'd be changed too.
As the director of the Center for the Intrepid, a state-of-the-art military rehabilitation facility in San Antonio, Colonel Don Gajewski, an orthopedic surgeon, has spent the last 12 years providing care for wounded warriors. Service members with catastrophic limb injury or amputation come to the CFI for care.
When the patients first come in, there's a lot of things going on in their head about what they can't do. They think about all those things they did in the past, whether it was playing sports in high school, you name it. And all those things that I can't do are going through my head when I'm a patient. It's seeing somebody who's been dealt a hand that is so horrible that we can't even imagine, turning around and just being an inspiration.
The quick hitter, Gajewski, wide open in Yale territory and down at the 28-yard line.
Colonel Gajewski is himself a former athlete. He played football at Harvard and was named team MVP his senior season. When surgery is completed, he's still involved in the recovery process and sees firsthand the strides service members make.
I'm very happy. Very happy. If you're ready. I'm ready to.
We see them come in, and for the first few weeks, few months, they struggle. But you never see that drive leave them. The day when they have their first steps, what a great day. Then the patients take that next step saying, wow, this is going to be tough, but the drive continues. You don't know what the word perseverance is until you've seen one of these guys fall a dozen or 2 dozen times and continue to get back up. You don't know the definition of the word sacrifice. I guarantee you don't know it until you've seen, until you see a spouse or a mom or a dad give up everything. We use the words hero, brotherhood all the time. You hear those words all the time. Guarantee you don't know the definition until you've talked to these guys. Until you've talked to them and you hear the stories about the heroes that they had that never came home, or the people that they look up to. That's what they let us see, and that's how it's changed my life.
Hannah Storm reporting. And joining us on the phone is Colonel Gajewski, who, by the way, would not stop talking about Harvard football last week with me. Proud of his team's undefeated season, but also cautious about this rivalry game against Yale. Colonel, what does the game mean to you?
Kevin, great talking with you again. You know, rivalries are special games, but in the case of the game today, with the championship on the line, it means even more. I think every one of your reviewers can understand the feeling of a rivalry, because it's the same feeling whether it's grade school or high school, no matter what sport. In fact, I'm sure even people who work at Pepsi can't stand the sight of a Coke can. So I think we all know that feeling. But there's also a funny thing about rivalries. No matter what, you look across that line, you can't stand that color. You can't stand the color of the uniform on the other side. But, you know, with a small change in circumstances, in my case, let's say I didn't get the grades that I did in high school, I may have been playing for Yale. So those guys might have been my best friends.
I love the trash talk. Calvin Hill called Harvard a safety school, and you falling back on Yale. You played in this rivalry from 86 to 88. In 1987, just like tomorrow, the Ivy League title was on the line. Winner take all. This game at the Yale Bowl, you were the starting tight end. What do you remember about that game and the finish?
Well, I played high school football in northwest Pennsylvania, and as you can see by the snowstorm that hit the Great Lakes this week, I've played in some bad weather. But that game was, I can tell you, the coldest game that I've ever played in. We were down 10-0 at halftime, but came back and won 14-10, and it seemed like it was 70 degrees after that game was done. Funny thing was, though, we got stuck in the locker room without any champagne to celebrate with. We saw that Yale had bought some, so we went downstairs and bought the champagne away from them and celebrated the night for the win that we had.
I'm sure it never tasted sweeter. Now, we hear about tailgating, but this game is also known for its pranks. So what type of pranks are involved during this Harvard-Yale weekend? Not necessarily your personal pranks, but pranks that you've witnessed or heard about.
Yeah, the Harvard-Yale pranks are notorious, but I think when the game's played in Cambridge every other year, the people you have to worry about are down the street in Cambridge at MIT. I think one of the most famous pranks they pulled was in 1982, where they hit a weather balloon underneath the turf. And after one of the scores in the second quarter, they inflated this weather balloon and had MIT painted on it, and it blew up and spread talcum powder all over the field. So security's pretty tight around the stadium for those reasons. You got to worry about those folks up the street at MIT.
Okay, I already know where you're leaning with a winner. I want to score here tomorrow, Colonel.
Well, I'd love to see a blowout, but I know it's going to be a tough game. If Harvard steps up, I know their defense can step up and stop that Yale running game. It's going to be a great day for the Crimson.
Colonel, proud to say you're also a Temple Med School man, so thank you for joining us on the phone, and thank you for your service as well.
My pleasure.